Accidental Death of an Anarchist is a play about institutional corruption at its core. It's about how the very institutions that are meant to serve us and help us so often don't. It's sad that it's still so relevant, that we live in a world where these places that run the world, these institutions, don't actually have the best interests of the people at heart. The inspiration for Directorial creating this play was based on a real-life event. In 1969 in Milan, a railway worker, Giuseppe Pinelli, was murdered by the police. There was a bank massacre and a bomb went off. Police went around and arrested Giuseppe Pinelli. The interrogation ended with Giuseppe Pinelli, minutes before midnight, being thrown from the fourth floor window of the police station and falling to his death. A series of lies that the police then told were proven to be exactly just that, lies. And so what Dario Fo and his wife Franca Rame did was create this play, and they wrote this play in order to expose the lies, in order to expose the institutional corruption. And it was wildly successful. My directorial concept for this particular production was, I guess, first and foremost about approaching it from this female perspective, from having a complete female cast. What does it mean for women to be performing this? And what does it mean for women to be authoring this? I didn't want to change the actual characters. I didn't want to make any of the characters female. I wanted to keep them as male and have them played in drag by women. How do you kind of shine a torch on the corruption of these systems? You have to get inside and you kind of have to pretend to be a guy. Women have less power than men. You can't deny that fact. It's sort of just part and parcel of the planet and the society we live in. And something about mocking up felt very fun. The idea of someone with less power taking the mickey out of someone with power is always very funny. It really excited me and it opened the play up in a really different way. I was really keen to not arbitrarily set it in Australia now. I was really keen to set it in Italy, to set it in 1969. I find theatre more powerful when it actually asks an audience to make a certain leap. And there's many different styles of comedy and physical comedy. So you've got slapstick, you've got clowning, you've got sort of kind of what I would call a sort of absurd improvisational kind of quality. There's areas of the script which are not tied down, which I've given the actors free rein. And this all came from when we started at the very top of the rehearsal process. We had a list of 10, 20 different moments that we were interested in. We'd use our fight choreographer, Mike, and Nigel when he was there. And we'd start just slowly skilling up and building these kind of sequences. I mean, there was even a time when we rolled up bits of newspaper and made different densities and practiced whacking each other in the face to see what we could actually do. What we discovered was that we had to have a very safe way of doing all the violence. There couldn't be any real hits, so all the newspaper whacking on the face actually got thrown out. You know, you always make far more than you can end up putting in a show. The collaboration between Jonathan Oxlade, the designer, and myself was hugely important and a massive part of making a show. The kind of process is, for Jox and I, was looking at Get Smart and Seinfeld and actually a lot of television and filmic references. Probably about halfway through the process that we really started going, what does it mean to embody these men? And it almost wasn't until we really got into the theatre and started seeing the incredible costumes and the makeup and the wigs that Jonathan Oxlade had designed that it really kind of took off. We discussed creating a sort of naturalistic palette upon which all the insanity of the play could take place. That was one of our key approaches and ideas. How do you end this play in a way that feels satisfying for an audience? Because Dario Fo was never interested in doing that. Traditionally, there was a third act where Dario Fo would, break the fourth wall and talk to the audience about the political relevance of the play, what the audience thought, and they'd have a kind of question and answer banter session, really. We wrote about 4 different versions of the ending, but the one that we ended up with, for me, was about wanting to make sure that the Anarchist didn't kill the cops, because anarchy, it's not about blowing things up, it's not about killing people, it's actually about a different system. It's about going, the system we have is broken, I'm going to go live by a different system. I'm going to do something different outside that system. That's what anarchy is, actually. That's what I've learned, that you've got to trust your ideas and back yourself. With great risk, I think, can come great reward.